Hey guys, what's going on? It's me Lily, and today I want to read to you an article which is called Germany's Economy at the Point of No Return. If anyone still needed a concrete figure to illustrate the dramatic state of the German economy, the Federal Statistical Office has now delivered it. The country's investment ratio is negative as depreciation exceeds nominal investments. Slowly but surely, the lights are going out in Germany. Germany's economy is running on wear and tear, consuming its own substance just to stay afloat. Private sector engagement is being crowded out by the NGO complex, green subsidy entrepreneurs and all the incentive hunters who offer no real products or services on the market but are very adept at exploiting public funding. Meanwhile, the real economy, the free private sector, is packing its bags. The widespread investment restraint of private industry spans at all sectors. Whether it's mechanical engineering, automotive or chemicals, companies are retreating and increasingly investing abroad. In 2024, over 60 billion euros in net direct investment was withdrawn from Germany. The data point released by the Federal Statistical Office is more than alarming. It proves that the situation has long passed the point of no return. The figures show that depreciation exceeded net investments. In other words, depreciation outstripped the renewal of the capital stock. Germany's infrastructure, building stock and industrial capital are eroding over time and are not being maintained. It is clear that an economy unable to renew its capital stock in a market-conform, competitive way is falling behind. People are impoverishing and society risks severe social upheavals. This is what we are seeing in Germany, but also in other European countries. People, they cannot afford to go to restaurants anymore or to the cinema. They are saving at, luxury products. They don't purchase them anymore. So the purchasing power is lacking behind. If you want to support my channel, the best way to do so is to buy a Odenwolf knife. Odenwolf is a really awesome company. They make high quality knives like this one here for a really good price. And this one happens to be a Scandinavian camping knife. And I really like this knife. I always have it in my car. And if you check out their website, you will find many other great knife models. And with my discount code Lily10, you will get a 10% discount. So if you want to support my channel, make sure that you check out the affiliate link in the description below. It's very baffling, and there's evidence that there's a deep-seated cognitive dissonance not to recognize the collapse of the German industry and to see what it is, namely the dismantling of our prosperity. Since 2018, Germany's industrial sector has lost about 1/5 of its production volume. 1/5, 20%. That's crazy. This is not a normal recession. It is the fall as the table's last place finisher, potentially followed by the immediate insolvency of the entity. Germany now survives on wear and tear, consuming its own substance while remaining silent to avoid confronting these threatening facts. The hospitality industry, a prime indicator of private household purchasing power, lost around 4% in real turnover last year and started this year at least 2 to 3% weaker. Households are holding on to their money. The self-inflicted energy crisis, which now accelerates in public awareness through the Strait of Hormuz, has caused a shock. Yet, it has evidently not been enough to produce political course corrections at the ballot box. The German statism has deeply embedded itself into the collective consciousness through the state education system, state-aligned media, and the constant barrage of green socialist NGOs. This naive faith in the state is a deeply rooted meta-political anchor that cannot be easily uprooted. In the Federal Republic of Germany, there's a real risk that society in the coming years of crisis will increasingly follow socialist charlatans. They present a painless therapy of simple wealth redistribution as a solution. Free media and truly independent academia are now called upon to counter the social political supergau, the return to complete socialist barbarism, which is becoming increasingly evident. Only a few media outlets are standing up against this decay. Once the continent's industrial engine, Germany has spent the last decade dismantling the foundations of its prosperity through energy and immigration policies driven more by ideology than evidence or good sense. The results have been rising costs, falling competitiveness, social disorder, and political backlash. Energy has played a leading role in Germany's decline. Reliable, affordable power is the lifeblood of any advanced economy. In 2002, Germany's 11 nuclear power plants supplied more than 1/4 of its electricity, 25%, with coal providing most of the remainder and natural gas filling in when needed. Renewable energy played only a minor role. The country had a stable, economically efficient grid that supported one of the world's most productive industrial bases. That balance was abandoned, driven by an ideological campaign against nuclear power. Successive governments committed to replacing reliable baseload energy with intermittent wind and solar energy. The goal shifted from reducing emissions to shutting down all nuclear power plants at any cost. Within 6 months, 8 nuclear power plants were taken offline and the rest would eventually follow, so now Germany has 0 nuclear power plants. The consequences were predictable. Electricity demand rose as Germany pushed consumers and industry to electrify with e-cars and heat pumps, but wind and solar output could not keep pace. Germany turned instead to imported natural gas, from much of it coming from Russia, replacing energy independence with geopolitical vulnerability. Had Germany kept its nuclear power plants operating, 94% of its power generation would now be emission-free and electricity prices roughly 23% lower. Germans now face some of the world's highest electricity prices, plus declining reliability. Germans even coined a new word, Dunkelflaute, to describe a calm and dark period when wind and solar produce no power at all. High energy costs have hollowed out the German industry. Its world-leading chemical sectors have shrunk dramatically. Family-owned manufacturers, a pillar of the German industry for centuries, are closing by the hundreds. The damage is most visible in the Germany's auto sector, which once provided livelihoods for millions and anchored its export economy. Today, the automotive sector is in retreat. Production fell by 29% between 2017 and 2024. Chinese manufacturers benefiting from scale, subsidies and lower energy costs are flooding the European markets with affordable electricity vehicles. Germany's corporate tax collapse signals economic crisis. The government in Germany is reporting a nationwide collapse of corporate tax revenue by 79% in January 2026 compared to last year. Also at the same time, the revenue from assessed income tax fell by 14%. It is undeniable the situation is becoming serious and the damage from political mismanagement is now visible. For the first time, fiscal effects appear in a country where policy had long relied on ever-growing tax revenues, postponing social issues with generous spending. January's alarming figures allow a troubling diagnosis. The companies that generate corporate tax revenue are largely from manufacturing, the classic industrial sectors of Germany's automotive and chemical industries. Last year there were 24,000 corporate insolvencies, hundreds of thousands of lost industrial jobs and ongoing capital flight from Germany's regulatory and energy nightmare toward better locations. The government's response to this self-inflicted problem is to expand state activity, spinning the intervention spiral faster with ever new debt, to stabilize an industry that largely no longer exists. Friedrich Merz acted knowingly last year when he secured a special fund with credit for coming years to temporarily stabilize the collapsing economic model. Yet now, despite billions flowing into the defensive sector, for war they always have money, and the green transformation products, that's another thing that they have money for, tax revenue still collapses, highlighting the dramatic state of the private sector. An economy that is largely unviable without perpetual subsidies has now become a problem for politics itself. No matter how high the federal government's economic straw fire burns, the Ministry of Finance's numbers speak clearly. Germany's economy, after years of restructuring under the green transformation and the energy crisis, has suffered such heavy damage that it is now visible at the state level, confirming what practical experience has warned for years. The shift toward a green socialism has gone too far. Productive forces are overextended, bureaucracy and ever-expanding welfare state overstretched. Germany faces difficult years ahead. It must negotiate how to proceed amid ever scarcer public funds. The state quota now exceeds 50% and continues to rise under federal policy. The bureaucracy and the welfare system expand 5 to 6% annually, demanding ever greater contributions from society, further weakening productive forces, and this is why the poverty spiral accelerates. A recalibration of the welfare state to match economic realities will soon be unavoidable. Until then, the illusion of prosperity is kept alive by credit. What is expected now? The state will increasingly draw on citizens' resources to close the growing budget gaps. The corporate tax collapse was likely no anomaly, and it will become even more expensive to use sectors like defense to mask the collapse of the German industry and to protect the labor market. Yeah, and now politicians are also talking about raising the inheritance tax in Germany. They also talked about reintroducing a wealth tax, and they want to put special levies on the rich, but the super rich have already left the country. The Chancellor and his finance minister apparently still believe the fairy tale that debt-fueled demand policy can create economic miracles, generate growth and deliver real prosperity. The result is a staggering debt binge that threatens to finish Germany economically. The heavily damaged German economic tanker can no longer move forward. Yeah, so this is the situation in Germany. Looks really bad. And in other countries of Europe we have the same problem, so Austria is not far behind, honestly. We are not doing much better. Also now, a lot of German YouTubers are leaving the country. They are leaving Germany because of the economic situation and because of the high taxes. So more and more German YouTubers were making videos about how they are leaving and why they are leaving. So now a lot of people are leaving Germany. And yeah, pretty tragic. And of course very bad for the Germans who are staying behind. Right now the picture in Europe is very bleak, especially Germany, and it doesn't seem to turn around. So yeah, very concerning. And if you want to get more news video from me, then make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. Also make sure that you are checking the subscription button, because sometimes YouTube is unsubscribing people without their knowledge. So make sure to check if you are still subscribed to my channel.